What up, girl? I almost said happy Tuesday, but it's Thursday. Can you believe it?
Thursday. Welcome to the first deep dish.
Deep. Do you feel
I
it?
love it. I feel like you're a combination of Liza Minnelli and a picnic table tonight.
Do you like my gingham?
I do, girl. I always love it. I love it.
You know, Ohio's been very finicky with the climate. We
the climate.
We dipped into spring and then we went back into winter, and I was like, you know what, bitch? I'm gonna one up you. I'm gonna skip right on to summer.
Girl, do you take care of yourself? I'm feeling very big, like Pam Anderson's trashy younger sister Midge vibes. Like, I don't think she exists, but when I was a little girl, I had a Barbie named Midge, and it was like Barbie's flat-chested brunette sister, and it was the only brunette Barbie doll they had, and I was a brunette, and that's how I feel tonight.
We had a Midge doll too, and she was my favorite because I was just like,
Midge was dope. Yeah. Which Midge is also like a bug, which is so funny. Like, she's named after a bug.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, I am feeling it tonight, girl. I poured myself a glass of Argentinian red. Changing it up. If Joseph's watching, I'm not drinking a Pinot Noir. We love to see diversity.
Rioja. Cheers, girl.
What you drinking, girl?
I am, so I'm wearing a picnic cloth, and I'm drinking like a nice summer lemonade cocktail.
Ooh, what's the base?
Gin.
Okay. I mean, I know you. What am I thinking? One time, true story, dear listeners. One time I went to Eileen's house and she didn't have vodka or red wine, which are the only two food groups I know. And she's like, but I have gin. I was like, girl, I will die. Everything you do is gin-based. And we ran to the grocery store and got that like Svedka rainbow vodka.
Oh, yeah. No. It's Absolute. The Absolute rainbow bottle.
Absolute rainbow. Yes. Love it.
I have a bottle of gay vodka upstairs. I'm ready for Pride season. As if it'll last that long.
Happy Thursday, girl. How is your week?
It's complicated. I'm very tired. If you can't tell, I'm leaning very, very slowly into my 30s with these looks. I feel like the clown makeup and the like office makeup are just like merging into one.
Yes.
So like I'm going through sort of a Mimi from the Drew Carey Show phase. Just like understated foundation. Brows are a little bit light but very sharp, and the features are just like cut. You know what I mean? Like very thick, wide eyeliner, and this shade that I think is just like very sensible but looks like a party clown. And I'm into that. I want that.
Honestly, I love a red lip. And, you know, it was interesting because the pandemic, no one wore lipstick, right? Because we were always in masks.
Yeah.
And I really missed the, like, glamour and femininity lipstick brings to my life. Like, I think I underestimated it.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Florida and there's no pandemic. So I've really been able to lean into lipsticks.
Shout out to Gwen really quick. We love Gwen. Gwen is watching and also says that Midge was her favorite too.
Fucking Midge. Wait, is there like a pipeline to like Midge and queerness that I'm like missing?
I think there is.
Because it was like
Midge is gay rights. We didn't even know it.
This one's different.
This one's
like,
different. That's all it takes when you're queer and a kid and you literally
and you're in the 90s.
Nothing. You have no representation.
There was nothing.
You see glitter and you're like, you know what I mean? Like, you get a little too excited when you see, like, Gem in the holograms and you just short circuit. You're like,
the thing is, like, I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's amazing the things we watched as kids. And I look back and I'm like, wow, it was really hard to come out. I wonder why. And then I watch all the movies I loved when I was a kid. And it's just like, F word this and don't be a dyke that and lesbian. And it just roasts gay people all the time. And I'm like, of course I was completely ashamed to come out. Like everything we had from a media perspective was so homophobic, was so transphobic. Like it's crazy.
Oh God. So I don't want to go in too much of a rabbit hole, but get into
Why not? It's the deep dish.
It's the deep dish. We got time. So get into this boots the house down realness. I saw when I was a kid. Got him. Oh wait, I got a little lipstick on my teeth. So anyway. When I was a kid, I watched, I didn't see Heathers when I was a kid, thank goodness, because they drop the F word, like, Every
Oh,
other
God.
sentence.
I
And
actually have not seen Heather's, but I've heard it's like just full of rape and the F-bomb. Is that true?
yeah, it's very, very insensitive. It's sort of like mass killing in a school context because it's pre-Columbine. So it's actually in a
Oh.
post-Columbine world, it's really, really jarring.
Oh, wait, I've seen another, that was another movie. Sorry, I'm confusing it. Where they like they dress up a guy. It's like nerds. I don't know. And they like dress up and they trick the hot girl into fucking the nerd thinking he's the jock.
Oh, is that She's the
Someone
Man?
comment. No, no, no. It's like older. It's like, I don't know, Animal House, one of those. Anyways, but no. So Heather, so,
Anyway.
oh, I didn't know that. That's fascinatingly
It is
terrifying.
really fascinating. So they drop a lot of F-bombs and you're like, oh yeah, this is before like we actually cared about gay people. And then there's just like wanton violence and teen suicide, and it's kind of played for laughs, and it's just really, really interesting. And also it's like fuck me gently with a chainsaw, like some of those 80s things that they said that they thought were cute, but were just like, ugh. You know what I mean? Like you look at people's teased updos and you're just like, it's grandma hair on teenagers. Like it's such a place and time.
Yes. And they're like they're supposed to be 14. They're actually 27.
Right.
And their hair looks like they're 82.
Yes.
Like it's just a journey.
Yes. And then another movie I saw later on was, God, there's so many things we can talk about, but I'll just touch on one more, which is I saw A Cinderella Story with Jennifer Coolidge as the stepmom. Amazing movie. I forget who the romantic lead is. He's boring. We don't care. But there was this one character who was a minor character throughout, and he was like a theater kid with long, shapeless brown hair and wireframe glasses. And when I watched it as an adult, I was like, I'm in the picture and I don't like it. And then, but like, literally looked just like me in high school.
Shut up.
The same clothes, the same outfits, like elaborate Shakespeare, like dropping in and doing like these like Shakespearean things, and then everyone was like, oh, you. And then at the end of the movie, they all go to a football game, and they make a really deliberate point to zoom in on this side character, and he goes, I love football. And I was just like, I felt so betrayed. It's like, I thought this movie was speaking to me, and I felt like I was being brainwashed. It was
I was
crazy.
like, I would have preferred seeing a gay hate crime at that football game than that.
Yeah,
like, at least that would have been in character.
Right. You're like, and then everyone dies.
I love that you said, and you know, that when America didn't hate gay people, and I'm like, unlike now, where we have like 700 bills trying to be passed. Anyway,
yeah.
So
100 and, like, it's like 130 and counting, and some guy got fired in Chillicothe for handing out rainbow bracelets. That's where we're at.
Girl, we just hate to see it. Shameless plug, Eileen and I are very intimately involved with Equality Ohio, which is an amazing statewide organization fighting for LGBTQ advocacy in Ohio. But someone from Equality Ohio tweeted this really funny thread about like, they actually went to Chillicothe and like had conversations, and there was incredible support from the town. And the tweet was so funny because it was like, see, when you actually go to the towns and you don't just like tweet and say, oh, I went to a diner and I met someone who thinks Joe Biden is a lizard person. And I lost my shit about that. I was like, yes. I was like, we actually go to the towns. Anyways, we're not here to talk about advocacy, but you should call your state senator.
Yet.
Just check in.
Yeah.
We are here to talk about jealousy. Eileen, for example, let's use it in a sentence, is jealous of me living in a state where 76 is cold. I am jealous of Eileen living in a place where people have rights. So everybody has
For now.
For now. Yeah, girl. We're all
Hashtag we say gay all day.
So we're very excited to dig in. We're going to spend a little time tonight talking specifically around jealousy and compersion. Don't worry, bitch, we got a graph, and we're very excited about that.
That's the graph.
But really around kind of the range of this, the reason for this deep dish, and I'll pass it off to you, girl, is I read this really interesting thing about non-monogamy, which is everybody says, oh, I could never be non-monogamous. And the next words out of their mouth are always not about them managing multiple partners. It's always about their partner. And they're like, I'm too jealous.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's so interesting because at no point does anyone think they couldn't do it. They couldn't manage multiple partners.
Mm.
It's always, oh, well, I couldn't handle my partner having multiple partners, which is actually bullshit because there was jealousy and stuff in multiple partners. Like if you have multiple partners, you have dynamics in all of that. You know what I mean? That you have to manage. So I just think it's like a very funny thing that people always say, right? That I could never be non-monogamous. I'm too jealous. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. I think people are often looking for reasons to explain it away. That it is not within the realm of possibility. And I actually have some experience in this because I did the same thing with being trans. You know, when I was a kid, we would sit around the TV and we would see like news stories about, you know, transsexuals or like strangely dressed body was found, like horrible stuff. You know what I mean? It's just awful. And the thing that you did was just sort of like laugh about it because you're like, how is this even? How do people do this? This isn't even within the realm of possibility, right?
Right.
And then
right.
the bad thing about that is that I internalized that and I carried it with me until I realized, oh yeah, I met some people, so I saw like role models, possibility models. Yeah. It's like, oh, I could actually do this and not die. And I feel like in that one way, it's similar to the concept of non-monogamy, which is like fundamentally inaccessible unless you meet some people who are doing it or you talk to people about it. Like you actually have to open the door a little bit and look inside rather than just like imagine what's behind the door.
Yeah. And I think it's just kind of the witness, right? Or the witness of. Mm-hmm. Because if we don't know what's happening, it's really difficult to imagine yourself doing it. I didn't realize that, girl. So like you didn't necessarily let yourself go to that trans space.
Yeah, and you know the funny thing was it wasn't like an agony. It was just it was like imagining how other people might be in another dimension, if that makes sense. Like the existence of it is not within this universe. It's really weird, but like I was shut off from it. And then people gave me this very plausible narrative about how gay men are feminine and that just explains everything and I believed it. So
well, right. Yeah.
Just like, oh, well, that's why you're feminine. You're gay. Like, you just, I don't know, do what you need to do. Whatever it is gay men do. You know what I mean? And also the people I were talking to were not gay and having the same issue that I was having.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think that's why, like, even in our generation, like, so many women who are masculine presenting transition to male. And it's like, yeah, you didn't know. And they transition later in life. You know? Or transition while dating me, which is very common. 10 out of 10. Literally. Partners. All agree.
It's on your character sheet, actually. Just like under skills, it's like converting the straights. Actually, converting the gays.
I was about to say, yeah. You'll never find a cis woman who knows more about topical testosterone than Brooke Cardis. Anyways, I love that. No, I think that's actually really interesting because it is difficult. You know, that concept of jealousy as a negative, right? Or the concept of jealousy is the work of your partner to do. And I'm not saying your partner isn't involved in it. So I just want to like point that out, right? But jealousy is a feeling you have, right? When it's your feeling, it's your responsibility. I'm not saying, you know, there's not accountability with partner for, you know, contributing and causing and being correlation, but like, or causation, but you know what I mean? Like, jealousy is like, oh, I'm jealous. All right, well then own it. Like process that. Like, why, girl? Like figure it out. But don't just sit in it so your fingers get all pruny.
Oh yeah, don't stew in it.
Like who was that guy in Dante's Inferno in one of the circles of hell? Tantalus.
I like that name. I don't know. I don't know the Divine Comedy that well to know about Tantalus.
They're the best. So Tantalus and Sisyphus. You probably know Sisyphus from Sisyphean task.
Yes, I know about the rolling the boulder up the hill and all that.
So Tantalus was with him, and they were punished in the same way.
Lovers.
But worse.
Oh.
Tantalus is where we get tantalizing from. And Tantalus was up to his chin in sewage.
Ew.
Starving. But there were delicious fruits just out of reach from his mouth. everywhere for eternity.
What a tease. You know, my queer ass, so, dear viewers, if you're not a millennial, you might not understand this, but to be a millennial is kind of like being Tantalus, in that you are so deprived of queer representation when you're growing up. And yet it feels like, so your brain makes up queer subtext where there is or is not queer subtext. And by the way, I'm not interested in whether there really is or is not. It's interpretive, right?
Well,
Art,
right,
media, film, TV, it's all interpretive. So if you find a queer subtext, it's there.
You did it!
You did it. So, like, I watched Sailor Moon, and it is actually gay as hell. But there are other shows that I would watch, like, I don't know, Dragon Ball Z, you know, because it came on right after Sailor Moon. Or maybe right before, I don't remember. Toonami fans, get in the chat.
Get in the chat!
Get in the chat!
Pause!
Make us feel less old! So, like, you know, you watch Dragon Ball Z and you see, like, male friendship, and you're like, oh my god, what if they're lovers? And you just kind of extrapolate this whole fantasy in your head about that. And to me, that's kind of like the delicious, succulent fruits that are just forever out of reach, because you're like, I'm probably making this shit up. Like, you gaslight yourself. You're like...
Oh, could we talk about Xena Warrior Princess and Hercules also on back-to-back?
So gay. Both of them. I mean, Xena was more ostensibly gay, but I mean, Hercules, look at him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Peter Sorbo. We were all gay for Peter Sorbo.
Yes, everyone was. You don't have a choice. Your sexual orientation is Peter Sorbo.
Yeah.
No, but I think you're right. It's interesting, like, we're in this space of, you know, what does it look like for the youth of today coming up with all these anti-gay bills and all this shit, but also amazing queer representation. Like, from a sociological perspective, it's just so different. Yeah. Because we didn't even have the option for, like, we didn't have gay marriage. We didn't have anything. We didn't have state protections. You know, so that was just so far out of reach. So I'm wondering, like, if the balance will help queer youth. I hope it does.
Maybe. I think there's probably just, you know, we all got to go to therapy for something. So I'm kind of interested, like...
I'm going for Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I mean, I surely am. There's, like, a lot of confusing feelings for a proto-pubescent person watching, like, anything that has suggestive adult themes. But anyway, trans. But it's my favorite thing. But you know, now you can watch Steven Universe or She-Ra, and you don't have to imagine queer subtext because the queerness is in the text. So we have better representation, but I almost feel like things are just as bad. Like, yeah, we have marriage, but look at how awful everything else is. So is it really better? Is it? That's what I wonder about.
You know, I think the thing that we fought for with marriage and, you know, is estate tax. And we fought for a class of people. We also fought for equality. But I worked in the gay marriage campaign. I remember when gay marriage decided to pivot from a marketing perspective, from discussing equal rights to love is love, which I now have on t-shirts and ornaments, and it was billboards, right? So we're very comfortable as a country discussing things like that. Love is love, right? But we can't actually discuss real equality, which is why we don't have a federal non-discrimination protection, because that's about equality. That's not like love is love. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think it was just what feels like an immense win is such low-hanging fruit in the movement. I'm not saying it wasn't a ton of work. And I do realize low-hanging fruit is a Tantalus reference. But I do think, girl!
Full circle.
But I do think,
full circle, bitch.
You know, I wonder the people, oh my God, this is going to be a really dark metaphor, so stay with me.
I'm in it.
I watched this super depressing World War II movie about like how the Nazis designed the Holocaust. And it was like a 3-hour movie of them like sitting in a room in like the Alps, just like German, terrible, right? But I'm like, at some point there was a gay mafia meeting we weren't invited to in the 90s where they were like, what are we going to fight for? Right? Yeah. There's a group of gay, white, cis men, men, that were in a room that we weren't there in, right? I don't know. The Holocaust metaphor isn't there. But you know what I'm saying? It's just a group of powerful people.
Yes, yes.
In a room, right? Who made the choice that marriage was the way to go instead of equal protection through non-discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, what was it just because you thought you could get it? Or did you really think that was going to better our life more than employment and federal and public accommodations protections? Landlords.
Here's my take on it. I think
bosses.
when people, so like the people who have connections and power in a relative sense, right? Like the power to affect or make subtle shifts toward change, right? Because none of us really truly feel like we have the power to make social change. But over time, if you have the right connections and the right influence,
right,
you have more power than other people. And the things that are probably being discussed in that room, it's probably not like, we're going to leave the trans people out. Like, I don't think it's intentional. It's just, what are the things that are affecting that group of people? Like,
I 100% disagree.
Really? Okay.
Fuck yeah. Trans people were left off the non-discrimination protection in the 90s after being added. They were removed.
Oh.
You don't think they did fucking polling? And we're like, oh, we got to remove this. I do think it's intentional. It's intentional to move forward. But I do think it is intentional on who we leave behind so we can make progress.
Mm. Well, I mean, I think if you're trying to appeal to a broader audience and you think something is... Because I've heard this a lot. Like, I heard this a lot in 2010, 2009, 8, whatever. It's like, yeah, I mean, the whole trans issue, it's just too divisive. Like, it's not good optics, it's not good politics. So it's like, we're not going to focus on that right now because we really just want to get this through. Like, this is the time for marriage. This is not the time for all that other politically divisive stuff. It's like...
Ironically enough, some of the first gay marriages that actually created the fucking ability for us to have gay marriage, the first marriages sued over, were trans marriages in Texas. So a cis woman married a trans woman.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you can't do this. And they're like, bitch, yes, I can, because you won't acknowledge her as a woman.
Right. So you can't have it both ways. Like,
and it stressed everybody out. It stressed out the whole motherfucking state of Texas.
Of course it did.
Girl, what are we talking about tonight? It is not jealousy. Deep dish.
I mean, I'm sure we could find a tie-in, but why don't we just intentionally shift the conversation back to jealousy?
Just pivot.
So, girl, what makes you jealous? Like, as a human emotion, like
these tiny Post-its. What the fuck am I supposed to do with these? Look at how tiny they are.
Can you even make notes on that? Are those like...
No, they're so dumb. Also, don't buy Post-its. They're made exclusively from prison industrial labor for cents on the dollar. So.
Girl, you are full of useful information. Always and forever.
Anyways, so, okay, what makes me jealous?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, it is so embarrassing.
Tell me.
You know, like, I don't get jealous when my person is, like, with a babe. I don't get jealous if, I get jealous if, like, a woman cooks for them.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Like, I get jealous when first of all, I'm the cook in my house. It's like, I love cooking. By the way, I am the cook and I love cooking. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm the cook and it's the worst. No, I love it. It's fabulous. It's my love language. Making food for people is my love language. But because I project on someone else that that's their love language, I feel absolutely personally attacked.
Yeah. I see that because it's a level of intimacy.
It is, but it's intimacy from the beginning. Like, it's like, what are your dietary restrictions? What can I make for you? And I'm just like, it's not rational and it's mine to manage. You know what? Thing that makes me jealous.
I don't know if it's irrational.
Okay.
And partly I'm saying that because it is also a thing that I feel, so I might be a little biased about that.
Yes.
But there's levels of intimacy. Like, if you're gonna do something that feels relatively, so here's the thing, girl. Here's the weird thing about me, being controversial yet brave on the dish, as per usual. I
Deep dish.
I don't think that sex and intimacy are the same thing. Some people
Oh my God,
do.
yes, you do not.
No, I don't.
No, you do not.
Some people do think that they are the same thing or very related. I am like, you know what? They can coincide. There is a Venn diagram, but there is like sex that is not intimate but enjoyable, and then there is intimate sex, and then there is intimacy, like lots of things that are not sexual, like, you know, cooking for somebody, or gift giving, or like sharing very personal details, and like being vulnerable with each other. You know, that's a kind of intimacy. So that in and of itself does not make me jealous. I would be like, oh my God, work. You know what I mean? That's awesome. Like it to me, it would be like if someone told me that they got a good review at work, or they like found money. You know what I mean? Like it feels like that actually makes me feel compersion, which we'll get back to the, for those of you that missed our episode on jealousy and compersion, we'll get back to the glossary in a minute.
Yes.
But the things that do make me jealous are like if they do something that is like the special thing that we do. That would make me feel jealous. So
yeah, it's kind of like if like they take you to the restaurant that we go to.
Yeah.
You know?
I think so. There's a jealousy that happens when there's like a very intimate conversation that leads to like, oh yeah, it just really helped me unpack something about myself, and I have a little twinge inside like, well, that could have been me helping you through that thing, you know?
Right. Oh yeah. Which that part is irrational, because it's like you never know when those things are going to unfold, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never know how they're going to.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Also, I shouldn't be the only one who my person gets to have meaningful conversations with. So that's where I'm like, okay, I can feel this feeling and I can work through that. But we've talked about this before on the show. I shouldn't then make that the problem of the other person. Like, I have to take some amount of responsibility for my own feelings.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really interesting. You know, I think it's like the intimacy thing is hard. So is the chart up? I can't see it.
It will be.
Technology.
It's about to be.
So what is compersion, girl?
Okay, so as you can see,
I'm gonna have to pull it up on my phone because I am bad at technology. Keep going.
No, it's okay. I had to do lefts and rights. As you can see on your left, if you're watching the dish, there are two axes on this chart, which is whether you are happy and or unhappy on the vertical axis, and the happiness or unhappiness of your partner. So if you are happy about your partner's happiness, that is compersion. And compersion, hopefully, in a relationship is a very common feeling, because it is about sharing and celebrating the good things that are happening to your partner. So your partner's like, hey, I got a promotion at work. These good things are happening for me, and you feel good about that. That's compersion. If you feel happy about your partner's misfortune, that's schadenfreude. That's
trash Germans. Back to the Germans. Here we go.
Yeah, that word is really interesting. I would like to know more about the history of it. But so, like, if something bad happens to someone, you're like, yeah, fuck that bitch. You know what I mean? That's schadenfreude. You know, just putting it in simple terms. If you are unhappy about your partner's happiness, that's jealousy. It's like, my partner's happy, I'm unhappy about it, something feels off, that's jealousy. And then if you are unhappy about your partner's unhappiness, that's empathy. I would almost call that, no, empathy seems right for that. It's a little bit like sympathy. Girl, I'm not clear on the difference between empathy and sympathy. I might need to phone a friend on that one.
I used to know it, but, you know,
it's difficult. Sympathy is like you feel bad because you've been through it, and empathy is like someone else is going through it, you can't understand it, but you like feel for them.
Yeah, I also like hate that sympathy bullshit, because I'm always like, people are like, oh, like now that I know what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes, I'm like, or you could just validate their truth and not have to experience it.
Yeah, I think there's like a people don't get, they like want to understand, but they don't realize that they can't with certain things. you know?
And I think that's just fine.
I
There
think that's
doesn't need
really
to be
healthy.
like, I think that's healthy. I don't think there needs to be comparative trauma. Like, I will never know what it's like to be a trans woman.
Yeah.
Guess what? I can still empathize with trans people. I can still vote for their rights. I don't have to be like, well, I don't get it. Anyways.
Yeah.
Girl, you know how I feel.
I will never know what it's like to be famous.
The dinner got fired up. I will never know what it's like to be ugly. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
oh, girl. Mm-mm.
that was good timing. I got you.
Not a clue.
I got you, though. I got you, girl. I love compersion. So I think compersion, God, my bra is like the most tonight. I just like a little peek of a bra, but I don't need like the whole bra. You know what I mean? It's like
I like this little balconette moment.
It's like a Juliet balcony for my baby cups. So
Juliet Balcony is a great drag name.
oh my god, it is! I'm furious. I hadn't thought of it sooner because I hate a Juliet balcony because it's not a real balcony. It's trash.
I don't even know what a Juliet balcony is. Is this some architectural thing?
A Juliet.
What is that?
So
That's the thumbnail, by the way.
Oh my god. So a Juliet balcony, a little top off there, cowboy. A Juliet balcony is one of those balconies that like the door's open, but you can't step out. But there's a little there's like a little like fence.
Yes, it's like the room that you pay a little bit extra for at the hotel, but it gets you literally nothing extra. Because
right, it's
you're
like
paying
actually
for
not
a
a
railing.
room.
That's what
exactly. Yes.
Oh
and they're
my
like,
God.
we can't actually have you open the window all the way.
One time, I went to a Super 8 with a couple fellow performers when I drove up to Ypsilanti to perform. And we checked in the Super 8. It was the night. It was like 2 a.m., right? So it is like night desk. The lights are half turned off. Like, I thought we were in the middle of a horror movie. And so we checked in. That was all fine. We went outside in the cold. It's February in Michigan. We went outside, went up the staircase, got to our room. The door was open. I'm not even kidding. The door was open.
What?
So we opened the door, turned on the light very, very, like, slowly, and we, like, proceeded to do a sweep of the room. Like, you know.
Under the everything.
Special Forces, Black Ops, like, clear! You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
But you just have, like, a glue gun.
Yeah,
for like all your
for rhinestones. Or like, I'll burn you!
This hasn't been plugged in for quite a bit of time, but I think it'll still hurt.
Yeah. I got this from Joanne, so it's really sturdy. So we're like pulling back the shower curtain. We're peeking under the beds. We check all the closets. And then we're like, do we go down to the night manager and like ask for a different room? And we decided not to. We stayed, and then nothing else bad happened. I just want to draw out the suspense a little bit.
I love it. And you're like, and I'm a ghost. Yeah. Anyways.
And then I died.
Oh, I love that. I think, when I talk to people about jealousy and non-monogamy or monogamy, wherever you're at, I think compersion is also a very common feeling. We just don't recognize it. And we don't recognize it in terms of romance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's very real. Like, to just even be like, I don't know, your partner had a really good day at work and you feel really good about that. You know what I mean? Like, you feel good they did that.
Here's a really good jealousy exercise. I would even call this physical therapy for jealousy. Have you ever just been like out with your partner? For those of you at home who are partnered, have you ever been out with your partner and you just like notice someone you're not interacting with anybody, you're just noticing someone walking by and you find them attractive. And then you say to your partner, hey, what do you think of that person? And then the partner looks and they're like, huh, okay, what about him? And you're like, that person's really attractive. And then you can work through that together. And then maybe maybe the person agrees. Maybe they're like, what are you talking about? Maybe you make a joke about it. The reaction is not important. The fact is that you bring it up, you acknowledge it, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's awesome.
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about that. And if you can walk away with that and say like, yeah, I could see how my partner would find that person attractive and I'm okay with that, then I think that's gay rights.
That is, because there's so many times like, well, why are you looking at her? You know what I mean? Or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
oh, girl, that's a great segue into another issue about jealousy, which I feel like it's an issue of trust.
say more about that.
So let's use the same example. If your partner looks at someone, or you look at whatever, whoever the case is, you look at someone, you're like, wow, that person's really attractive. You tell your partner about it, and they're like, the jealousy happens just from that.
Right.
And there's like, it's shut down, the barriers come up, it's very guarded, it's defensive. My hypothesis about that is that it comes from a place of distrust. Insecurity and distrust. It's like, I don't trust my partner not to walk over there right now and what? Like, do something with this person? Like, try to get their number? Are they then, like, because my partner acknowledged that they think this person is attractive, does that mean they're gonna, like, go and look for other people and have sex with other people? Obviously not, but I think that's what I'm getting at, is where does that those jumps in logic, jumping to conclusions, like where does that come from? I think it comes from sort of distrust that needs to be worked through.
Well, and I think that's where it's like, that's why I said, jealousy is like something you need to work through. It's your emotion, but if your partner has a history of being incredibly distrustful, I'm not going to be like, well, why are you, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's right.
A good point.
So
that's a good point.
Every context is everything.
Yeah.
Right.
If your partner's cheated 4 times and you're like, it's, I think it's natural that you would be a little bit.
Well, and even like within, just again, starting from basics, in non-monogamy, whatever your relationship is, you can cheat, you can transgress. Oh my God. Do you want a transgression story about non-monogamy that's just great?
I do.
Okay. It's super lesbian. So these lesbians were in a non-monogamous relationship. And the one rule was, don't hook up with my roommate.
Okay.
Whatever you do, don't hook up with my roommate. And here's the thing about her. She probably knew they were attracted to each other, which is why she may have felt something, right? Right? Because you're like, all right, this is the threat. I feel it. Yeah. I'm going to try to nip it in the butt. Right?
Also, I feel like that is actually that's a fair boundary for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A completely fair boundary.
Yeah.
But humans are humans, and humans are going to human. And I don't want to get into too many details, but a Hocking Hills weekend was involved. Lest we come back to the hot tub. The bane of my existence in lesbian dating in the Midwest.
Yakuza.
Do not invite me to Hocking Hills to swim in an E. coli-fested hot tub. Invite Eileen. Yeah. She'll go.
You and I will never agree on this, but that's okay. I love a hot tub. I do. I love them. I'll soak all day in that bitch. 4 or 5 hours. You can go walk on that trail. I'll be right
You'll
here.
Be an actual. I'll just pull out a golden raisin and it'll be you.
Listen, some of the best hours of my life have been spent in a hot tub in Hocking Hills with not a stitch of clothing on.
Not a stitch.
Not a stitch. Not a drop of makeup, not a stitch of clothing.
I mean, no, I love that. I love that for you. And I'm all for absolute freedom and I'm all about bubbles. But, of course, she caught the girlfriend in the hot tub with...
the roommate.
The roommate!
The roommate! Oh, no.
And everyone's like, oh, my God, can you believe it? And I was like, yeah, she's a serial cheater.
Everyone got a UTI.
Even the hot tub.
Even the hot tub got a UTI.
The hot tub's like, I got this pain in my shoots.
Yeah.
Can't just shoot my waters.
The jets don't work.
That's what happens, by the way, you get a UTI. It's to pee, everybody. So, I'm just saying, like, that, yeah. And I'm not saying, I also hate, like, when people are like, oh, I hate cheaters. And no one likes cheaters. Also, anyone who says that, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I got it. Like, don't use that. I don't even like that word. But I feel like, I don't mind that word. It's fine if you want to use it. But, like, it's also just about people who are in non-monogamous relationships can transgress boundaries as well. I think it's a little more complicated than saying cheating or not cheating, because I feel like that's a very monogamous term.
Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah, I think cheating is another one of those things that is, there's a lot of assumptions that are made about it. And I like that you say transgression, because in order for you to cross a boundary, you have to know what the boundary is. Like, you have to mutually agree upon the boundary.
Say it again. Say it again!
In order for you to cross a boundary, you have to know what the boundary is, and you have to mutually agree on the boundary. So, like, if you imagine what a boundary is, we're going to do puppets.
Which is what monogamy is, by the way.
Yeah, we're going to do puppets. So if you think you know what the boundary is, and they think they know what the boundary is, and it turns out they're not the same boundary, then misunderstandings are going to happen. Exactly. So...
That was real fun. I'm going to do it again.
So, like, yeah, I mean, we can use the word cheating, but at the end of the day, it's really like, we talked about it, we had an agreement, we, like, discussed what was okay and what was not okay, and you did the thing that you knew was not okay. That we knew was not okay.
And, you know, that's putting your needs above your partner's, and if that consistently happens over time, there needs to be a discussion, and boundaries are flexible, right? And that's the thing. If you're treating relationship boundaries like Justice Scalia treats the Constitution, that's a problem. Justice Scalia was an originalist, and RIP was terrible. So, great writer, terrible jurist, homophobic and racist. But the point of this is like, it has to evolve. Contracts evolve. Our Constitution has evolved.
Yes. Yes.
So
it gets amended. So, like,
hopefully,
like, it's not just about interpretation. We actually wrote other stuff on top of it. You know what I mean?
Right. And even that, right? It's interpreted differently. Like, all men are created equal, right? And means something different from our founding documents than it did. So, I love you in sickness and in health can mean very different things. If you are sick and you are unable to do certain things and we work out a different arrangement, I'm still honoring you and I'm still caring for you in that sickness, right? But I'm also still caring for self or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's another great thumbnail, by the way.
So I think but I like the term transgressing, because I do think there are those people that are always going to be like, great, I'm in a non-monogamous relationship, and they're like still going to transgress, right? And it has nothing to do with the boundaries. They're just respectful. That's it.
Girl, not to bring it back to Sailor Moon, but let's go there for a moment.
Famous last words with Eileen Galvin.
Love it. I won't take up too much of your time, I promise. So, in the last season of Sailor Moon, you get to see a little bit more about Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune, who are the original two anime lesbians. They're wonderful. Like, Sailor Uranus has this, like, short, like, dirty blonde hair, and she's, like, people don't know if she's a boy or girl, because it's, like, an anime trope. And Sailor Neptune has this, like, wavy teal hair, and she's, like, a violinist, and she's so femme and elegant and whatever. So the two of them will, every once in a while in the last season, one of them will do something to make the other one jealous. And then after the moment happens and the other person leaves, they're like, were you jealous? Did I make you jealous? And it's very clear that it's like, it's a game for them. And first of all, my little teenager queer brain could not process that. That is a very adult thing, so I didn't know what the hell was going on. But I've always really appreciated...
You're just like, I don't know, am I jealous?
Yeah. But girl, like, in a world where we see little queer representation or bad queer representation, I'm looking at you, L Word. You know what I mean? Like, that is bad relationships that are being modeled.
Right.
Right?
Oh, it's trash.
I always think about Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune and how they are so comfortable in their relationship and they've talked about jealousy to the point where jealousy is a fun game to them. I love that. Isn't that fun?
Girl, you make me watch Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm. Girl,
and I know you've been trying. I know you've been trying.
Just those episodes. You don't watch the whole thing.
Listen, in this economy?
I'll fill you in. I'll be like, okay, pause. So this person, you know what I mean? It's a lot.
Oh my God, speaking of shows. So do you ever get like jealous if someone watches like a show with your partner? Because like, if I found out a partner watched Bob's with someone else, I would have a fucking heart attack.
It hasn't. Yeah, so it hasn't happened yet. But as
well, no, it hasn't yet.
Right. But if someone watched, So, girl, I've been talking to you a lot about this genre, this gay Asian genre called BL. This is short for boys love, and it is like basically, if you're familiar with the manga genre of yaoi, it's the TV version of that. Some of you at home will be very familiar with that. Some of you will be like, "What the hell is she talking about?" But anyway, it is like this magical fantasy world where being gay is about respecting each other's feelings and communicating, and just like it's all about sweetness and tenderness and like holding each other and just like very sweet eye gaze. And it's not about what you often see represented in the West, which is just all sex. It's very sex focused, very physical, not a lot of emotional intimacy, and this is like the opposite. It's something that my partner and I have resonated with very deeply, and so if someone else were to watch, because it is kind of niche also, right? It's very niche.
Kind of niche?
Shut up. God damn it. Okay, fine. It's obscure. It's very obscure, and if someone else were to watch that with my partner, I would be like...
You'd be like...
Because it's just like the nature of the genre is so personal, and I think that the watching of it is also personal to me.
Well, right. And I think that's the thing, the watching and the witnessing and the comfort it brings, right? Is like very much like, part of it.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. How about you, girl? You getting furious if someone's watching Bob's Burgers?
I'm going to tell you right now, girl, don't do it. Even you. My jealousy shows up even in friendships. Don't worry about it. Compersion for me is like, I do really feel it. The opposite, right? So like we've talked about jealousy, wanting to be jealous, but I get a lot of joy about hearing about my partner having a good time with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've said this before, but I really I think the key to compersion and jealousy is I don't even think they're two sides of the coin. I think they're the same side. I don't even want it, because there's no dichotomy in it. For me, I'm in a space of compersion until I'm not. So for me, I have to catch when that's shifting before it shifts, so that the joy I have here isn't lost. So like, tell me about your hangout or your date, whatever it is. Tell me about it. Okay, I'm hitting a point where if I hear any more intimate details, I may not be in this space. So I'm going to vocalize and say, thank you so much. This is all I can hear tonight. Mm-hmm. I'm so grateful for what you shared, but I can't hear anymore.
Mm-hmm. I think that's good to just say like, hey,
I think that's healthy.
Yeah, it's a form of self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Because hearing more is not going to make you feel better. So it's like, I maybe I can hear more about this later. And it doesn't, the fact that you can't hear more in that moment does not negate the positive feelings that you have for your partner, for the experience that they had. It's just saying, hey, I think this is what I can handle.
Yeah, this is my limit.
Yeah.
But you have to know your limit even, on the jealousy spectrum as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it can be fun until it's not.
Mm. No, yes. It's not all Sailor Moon and like, it's not all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it
well,
doesn't
and
feel good.
I don't like when it's rooted in this, like, I don't know, like, I had this ex once, and they were like, well, yeah, like, they may want you for a night, but, they'll return you. It can't be, terrible. It can't be rooted in this, like, yeah, good luck. Like, I'm not jealous because I know you're a handful energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually mean. It's like...
Yeah.
That's like saying, I'm not jealous because I don't think that... It's like trying to tear you down.
Right. You're not worthy of my jealousy.
You're not worth it. Yeah.
Right.
That's really hurtful.
Yeah, women, man.
Or
women, I don't know, either way.
Yeah, all of it.
All genders.
It's very
all
human.
genders are trash.
Yeah. This is not, this is a common theme on the dish. This is not an us them thing. We are trying to unpack features of the human condition. And we are
absolutely 100%.
And we're included in that. We're not perfect. I have experienced jealousy. I have lashed out because of jealousy, I've done some things that I think were probably unhealthy or maladaptive behaviors, We all do that.
Oh, of course. Girl.
There's so many good thumbnail shots in this episode where, like, I think we've done that one before. I think that's probably one of our common expressions, to be honest.
It is.
Yeah.
But if you think people are trash, just get a bulldog, because then you can't leave your house for more than 6 hours without them having explosive diarrhea all over.
I love Penny because she is, she craves attention,
She's openly very jealous also.
All the time. She is openly jealous.
Living in a very jealous space always.
Yeah. If you like do anything else other than pay attention to her, it's a wrap. She's all over.
Especially if you're like sitting and enjoying some quality quiet time.
Right, like literally doing nothing.
Honestly, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like,
great, that's awesome. Why doesn't it involve me?
Oh, terrible.
Oh, Penny, I miss her. I do.
Girl, tell me about it. She misses you.
Oh.
Can you believe we have chatted for 54 minutes? Like, I feel like we're going to do the debrief right now. I feel like this went great.
No, I love that. That is something that we definitely do. Oh, Gwen is still watching and says, I love listening to y'all. Thanks for sticking it out, Gwen, for the late night after hours deep dish. This is a new thing that we're doing.
We're just trying it out. We're just trying out new things.
Yeah, we might do it once a month. We want to switch dates. Yeah. We want to switch times. We want to go a little extra long because, girl, can you believe this is episode 57?
Girl.
We've been doing this for over a year.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, I think I like going a little bit deeper, especially on things like this when it comes to non-monogamy, because we didn't even get to like kitchen table non-monogamy and the range of non-monogamy. We didn't even get to it.
Yeah.
But there's so much there, and there's so much that you could go like deeper into. And I think these are really great spaces. So if you like the deep dish, comment, let us know. We'd love to hear it. If you didn't like it, tell us, but just DM us, because we don't really need that publicly. Like, we don't need that kind of stress in our life. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook Live. And for those who have been lucky enough to join us live 2 weeks ago, we want to, again, thank you so much. 3 weeks ago. We got 3 weeks ago. And we are thinking about what the next live experience will look like. So if you have any requests or thoughts, we'd love to hear from you. We're already planning.
Sky's the limit.
More assholes from Eileen Galvin. That is my anonymous comment.
This is how I do asshole sitting down. I didn't even break out one. I didn't even break out one at the show. So like,
I know. Frankly, I'm devastated. What if I put tassels on my shoulders?
Nikki Stone does that.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, Nikki Stone.
I can't do that then.
Pioneer.
That is a pioneer move.
Nicole Andra Stone puts tassels on her shoulder and does this.
And does it work?
I live.
That is fabulous.
We have no choice but to stand.
Well, right, yeah. It obviously works.
Trailblazer, groundbreaker.
I feel like I could put them on my knees or something.
Oh, and then you just kind of do that like... Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
So if this is the deep dish, and this is our standard Tuesday show, they're both going to continue happening.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are so grateful. We will be back Tuesday at 7 and every Tuesday at 7 for the dish. If you liked the deep dish, please subscribe, like us. We'd love to hear from you. Dear readers, have a lovely night and cheers and happy deep dish, especially to you, Gwen.
We love you all. Thanks for sticking with us, and we'll see you next time on The Dish. Bye.